What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about 3 traits guys fall in love with and what guys are really observing for when they're choosing a woman seriously, if they're actually looking for love. But before I start, this video is sponsored by Aura. Look at this. This is my personal payment receipt from the Equifax breach settlement for $5. Yes, $5. What the hell am I supposed to do with $5 in the event that those thieves start committing crimes as me or making fraudulent purchases with the information they stole? How will I defend myself in court? Do any of you know a $5 lawyer? Most of us have so many online accounts, devices, and connections that we can't even keep track of them. Aura secures your devices and insures your accounts and identity from identity theft with up to $1 million in identity theft insurance. So while it does monitor, it doesn't just monitor, it actually commits to doing something in the event that something happens. Right now, you can try it for free to see if you like it. Why wouldn't you take advantage of free? Click the link below to find out more. It'll help you a hell of a lot more than this $5 I just got. Now onto this topic. The first thing that men fall in love with, the first trait, is being supportive. Now, this is simple, but it's not actually that simple. See, men are generally educated on women from a very young age, and society throws in its 2 cents and its poison as well. We learn that we're not valuable unless we're providing something, unless we're being strong, unless we're producing something, unless we're giving something or giving of ourselves, and that's the only time we're valuable. We don't learn to receive. We learn to give, we learn to produce, we learn to put out, right? But we don't learn to receive from women. We don't learn to receive from anyone, really. So that's why so many of us have trouble asking for help. So when men find a woman who's supportive from a very natural place, who hasn't had to try or to convince herself, or who's not resenting him for the very need to support him at all, when he can tell that that's genuine and it's not just her trying to give him a shot, it's not just her trying to give him a chance, they really like that. They really feel like there might be a chance here because I can be everything I am. And sometimes I'm strong, sometimes I'm weak, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, but I need to be everything I am if I want to feel comfortable in a relationship, if I want to learn to trust a woman. I talk to a lot of women. Obviously, I've spoken to thousands. I'm a dating coach. A lot of women have trouble actually supporting a man through anything. Right? I think that we all think we're supporting someone because we're having a conversation with them if they're going through something, but we really don't want to endure anything with them. So when men find a woman who's supportive, but from a very natural place, it makes us feel comfortable because we know we don't have to be perfect for her to respect us in the long run. We don't have to be perfect for her not to resent us or to emasculate us in our mind and to think of us less of a man because we go through something. And unfortunately enough, a lot of men have experienced this. A lot of women say they want to support you. They say they want you to open up. They say they want you to share things when you're doing bad. But as soon as you do, they start to lose respect for you. Or maybe not as soon as you do, but over time, if they see a pattern, habit, or practice of you handling something in a way that they think their ideal man wouldn't handle it, then they start to lose respect for you. They start to resent you, and they start to look for other ways and other means of encountering that masculinity that they idolize and fetishize so much. When a woman has to step outside of her comfort zone to be supportive, you know there's a very short time that you have to get your shit together or to be better or to be perfect or to upgrade her or whatever the thing she's holding dear to her heart as an ideal of a perfect man is. You know that you're on borrowed time with a woman who doesn't support from a very natural place, who isn't just that to everybody she's encountering, but only that to her man. Too many women are supportive to their man, but they're not supportive to the other people around them. When men see this, if a wise man sees this, he'll take note of that. He'll notice that you're only supportive of him because you're with him, because you're in love, because maybe you're in that romantic first stage of the relationship, right? The honeymoon phase. We know that the things we get in the honeymoon phase eventually fade away, right? And we're left with what the world has been getting from you from day one. We're left with a muted version of the type of love that people generally emphasize and overemphasize when they first start dating. So if you're not a naturally supportive person and you don't support everyone around you, if this is just not your nature to be loving, supporting, and nurturing to everyone around you, we know that we're on borrowed time when we get it from you just because you decide you're in love with us. So a lot of you ask why a man doesn't open up. A lot of times that's why, because he knows that it's not your nature to be very supportive. You're just doing that because of who he is, the guy that you want to be with. But he knows that won't last. So again, when men see women who support from a very natural place, it's just who they are. It's just what they do in their relationship. It's the family member they are. It's the friend that they are. It's the coworker that they are. It's the random stranger, the good Samaritan that they are. When they see that, they trust those women more. They trust those women to allow them to be their complete selves, and it makes them feel safe. It gives men security. And it helps them fall in love. And so that's the trait that they look for. And that's a trait that often causes guys to fall in love. A lot of women's support is temporary and circumstantial, based on how much she likes you, based on how excited she is for the relationship, based on how new the relationship is. It's not who she is. A lot of times that's way more obvious than women think it is. And most of the time they're not being honest with themselves about why they're so supportive or why they're so down for the new guy. But it's really just because they're excited, not because that's what they do. The second trait that men fall in love with is women who are self-governed, right? We hear a lot of times women talk about how they want a man who can handle them, or they want a man who can challenge them. And I understand those things conceptually, but we have to understand that men don't want to be fighting with you. When men don't want to lord over you. A healthy-minded man doesn't want to lord over what you do, where you go, what you wear, who you talk to, this, that, or the other. He just wants you to respect the intangibles. He just wants you to respect the unwritten rules and the undefined rules in the relationship. He doesn't want to have to tell you to not talk to guys if they DM you. He doesn't want to have to tell you to not answer guys if they come on to you. He doesn't want to have to tell you these things. He just wants you to do it, right? He just wants this to be a part of your nature. If you're self-governed, if you just do the right things because they're the right things, not because you got caught, not because you were told to do it, not because he asked you to do it, right? It's just like when women want their man to stop looking at skeevy Instagram pages, or to stop liking skeevy Instagram pictures, right? A lot of y'all got men who are scrolling Instagram, hitting a like button on a bunch of booty pictures, right? And you're hating it. It's like, man, why does he do this? It feels like cheating, but he's not actually doing it, but it feels wrong. Why isn't he self-governing, right? We want people, it's human nature to want someone who doesn't have to be told how to love you and how not to injure you on a regular basis. So when men meet women who are self-governed, when they're just respectful of the relationship, they just don't talk back to men who try to holler at them. They just watch what they say. They just watch their tone. They just, collaborate. They just cooperate. They just meet you in the middle and show respect and respect the boundaries that don't have to be explicitly said, but should be assumed to be there, right? When women do that, when they control themselves and handle themselves instead of needing a man to handle them, it makes men really take them seriously. And that's the thing that men fall in love with, is not needing to worry about your conduct when they're not controlling it, or when they're not leading you or guiding you or giving you input or criticisms. It's the same thing as a parent who has a very responsible child who doesn't have to worry about their child burning the house down or breaking the neighbor's window or sneaking girls in the house, right? It's the same thing, but we don't say, oh, I got a responsible girl, she's responsible. No, we want her to be self-governed, because in a relationship, there are a lot of habits, patterns, and practices that people need to lean on and be able to count on to keep the loyalty in the relationship, to keep the respect in the relationship, and keep the dignity and honor that you're supposed to have to each other, right? So it's a lot like the responsibility you'd hope to have in a good child, but it's not that. It's the respect of the relationship. Self-governed women make men fall in love. Last but not least, the third thing that men look for in relationships and fall in love with when they see it is balance, right? Energetic balance, emotional balance, behavioral balance, opinion balance, passion balance, temperamental balance. Too often, men and women encounter people who don't operate with balance and who move from one extreme to another, right? They go from hot, cold, they go from up to down, they go from high to low, they go from into you to not messing with you like that. They go from happy to sad, or lowly to angry. Like, there's always these polar extremes that they visit, and it makes people unsettled, and it makes you walk around on eggshells. A lot of times, while men are said to be the leaders and the dominance and all of this stuff, a woman's emotional temperament, if she's not emotionally balanced, it'll have a man, no matter how alpha he thinks he is, walking on eggshells, just trying to avoid conflict with her, because no one wants to come home to war. They want to come home to peace and love and warmth from their partner. They don't want to always be in battle. They don't want to always be at war. They don't want to constantly be criticized, right? And sometimes when people lack balance, you don't know where you stand with them, and you only find out when you do something wrong. You only find out when they're expressing anger or frustration or some negativity that they want to give back to you, right? People who lack balance often leave their partners walking on eggshells. So the guys who are really looking for partnership, looking for lasting love, are seeking balance in women because they know that when they come home, even if there's a problem, the conversation is balanced, right? It's not pointed toward winning. It's pointed toward solving the problem. It's not pointed toward criticism as much as it's pointed toward acknowledging things that are going on and finding solutions to issues, right? A balanced woman is a great arguer. She's a great debater. She's a great partner. She's loving through conflict because she has balance. She can see both sides. She sees the big picture and the small picture, right? She doesn't get tunnel vision on her opinion, on her feelings, on what she wants. She understands that the relationship is two people, right? Balance is very, very important. And a lot of guys are missing that in their relationships, and they're looking toward women who have balance. They wish they dated women who had balance. This is a thing that happens all the time. When I'm talking to clients and I can tell they're imbalanced, the first thing I do is try to point it out. Wait. Why only this? Why does he have to only do this thing to be right? Why can't he only serve you in this one way? What about if he thinks this? What about if he has a different understanding of that? We have to understand that they aren't us, and we can't expect us from other people, right? We have to educate people on what helps us, what molds us, how we receive love. We have to educate people on how to deal with us, on how to not to mishandle us. But we also have to give them grace to be imperfect. And a woman who has no balance often has no grace. And we need grace because we are not perfect people. And the lack of balance leads to a lot of anger and a lot of arguing in a relationship. Men always say they want a woman to be their peace, right? We hear that all the time, right? The base of that peace is balance. Balance gives tranquility. Balance gives peace. Without balance, you can't have it because you deal in extremes, whether they be temperamentally, emotionally, or mentally. You deal in extremes. So anyway, these are 3 things that guys are looking for from women. If you notice that you might not have these qualities, do what you can to work on them. Do what you can to be more aware of how you present in these 3 ways. Go to my website if you need coaching. The link is down below. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor. I'll get with y'all later.